I realized that through doing engineering, I could work on the same projects as architects, do less school, and get paid more money for it. I often find that I kind of fell into engineering. I just kept trying to make better logical life decisions for myself, and I eventually found myself graduating with an engineering degree. It felt like the right thing at the time, but I wish I had had someone to guide me and to help mentor me in the process of choosing a career. Because apart from choosing your life partner and the person you're going to marry, choosing your career path is one of the biggest decisions you're going to make in your life. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. People are typically surprised that for my day job, I work as a civil engineer. I'm here to share some things that I wish I knew about engineering before choosing that career path. If you're interested in any career in STEM or particularly engineering, hopefully something I say will help you make an informed decision as to what to do with your life. The first thing that I wish I knew more about was myself. I wish I had a better understanding of my interests, my strengths, and my weaknesses, what careers would be best suited for that. A lot of self-learning and inner work comes with time, but I wish I had spent more time marinating on if a career was a really good fit for my personality, naturally, and the natural talents I have. Because you can pretty much learn how to do anything if you're dedicated to it and you want to grow and stretch. But if you choose a career that's in line with your natural talents, it'll just come so much more easily. You'll find a lot more passion in something that you're naturally more adept at. I will always recommend you do journaling for your inner work, but this is actually a great opportunity to do some fun online quizzes. I don't mean the BuzzFeed quizzes. Those are fun, but maybe not best for choosing your life path. There are some other personality tests that will tell you more about your psyche, your personality patterns, and your personal strengths and weaknesses. The best one I found specifically for career advice is a 16 personalities test. After you go through it, it'll give you an archetype and it'll tell you what typical jobs are suited to people with your personality trait. When I took the quiz, it told me I should be a teacher, a motivational speaker, a therapist, someone basically who talks to people to work and mentor, guide them. I am the diplomat archetype. This is not an archetypal personality that's typically associated with being engineers. As I've gotten older, I've realized that my personality is very different from any other engineers in my field, which is a good thing. That's cool, that's fine. Engineering always felt like something I could do. Even now, it feels like a job that I do well, but I always wonder if I had chosen something that is more in line with my personality traits, if it would have felt like a more natural fit. All of these tests are kind of similar. They use information from psychology to help you better understand yourself and help you better use your natural talents and gifts. So whichever test best appeals to you, definitely try that out. For me, it's the 16 personalities, but I know other people who really resonate with the things I learned from the big 5 tests. So whatever works best for you. The second thing that I wish I knew before becoming an engineer is that your femininity is an asset. It is not a liability. I think there's this jargon within common culture that it's a bit of an oddity to be an engineer as a female. And it is. There's still less women working in the field than there are men. There's actually a lot of programs on diversity trying to help more women get into STEM fields. Just the fact that through affirmative action you have an advantage should help you feel more courageous to step into a field that's typically male dominated. Just because you work with guys all the time doesn't mean you'll necessarily feel out of place. I know that on site it is extremely male dominated because there's a lot of physical labor on that side of construction things. Actually, like my dad, my brother, my uncle, they're in the contracting side of things. But the demographics within office positions, like in design and working for agencies, are actually a lot more evenly split. I'll toss some stats up on the screen for you if you're interested. In my particular office, we're about half-half, and there's even a lot of women in higher level positions that have been there for years. So there's definitely a place for you in engineering if you're a woman. There's even people to look up to if you're looking for those role models. Another thing on the subject of femininity, as a woman, you bring something really special to the table. I believe women are naturally more collaborative, more emotionally intelligent, and bring a certain work-life balance to the atmosphere of an office that's extremely important. I would not hesitate to lead into your femininity, even if you're choosing to go into a typically male-dominated field. I actually find that I do better at work, projects go better when I'm leaning into my femininity. And one of the beautiful things about being a woman is that people really want to help you and to support you. And I've always found that just through being receptive, which is one of the cornerstones of femininity, projects go better, project managers feel heard, I'm learning and growing faster. Don't be afraid to ask for help. People want to be your mentor. They want to support you and help you grow. There's no need to be this boss babe who needs to do everything themselves. Everyone has something to contribute to the project. If your project manager is older than you, thinks they know better, they probably do, except be receptive to their help. And just know that no one's out to get you. Everyone is working for the betterment of the project. The next thing I wish I knew is I wish I knew what my day-to-day would look like. So when you're in school, it's really hard to understand what exactly it's going to mean to be a civil engineer or any kind of engineer. When you're in school, you're just attending lectures, learning theory, and unless you're doing a internship or a co-op, you don't really get a chance to see what the working world will be like. I was actually learning structural design for all of my education, and I thought that I really wanted to do that for my career. When I was in my senior year, I was able to work part-time for a local engineering firm. I was able to see what the different departments within civil engineering did, how they worked, the projects they worked on, what they were responsible for, and that really opened my eyes to what it would actually mean to work in the structural concentration within civil engineering. Even if you get your degree in civil engineering, there's many different avenues you could take. You could do something geotechnical related, you could do land development, traffic, structural design. You don't always know what those look like when you're in school. I would definitely try to do an internship or a co-op while you're in your junior or senior year, because this will give you a better idea of what it's like to actually work there and if you'll like it. Because you can change disciplines pretty easy within firms when you're early on, and you want to make sure that you're on your career path getting mastery in the right discipline within civil. Even the type of work that you do, there's a lot of different options. You can work at a design firm that makes plans and specs for contractors. You can work on the construction side of things where you're physically building the product, or you can work at an agency like Mass DOT or VIDOT, kind of be the overseers of projects, coordinating things like designers and contractors. Learning more about your personality will help you to figure out where you want to be in that career bubble and what type of engineering suits you best. So the next thing that I wish I knew more about was the actual training required to do this kind of job. The great thing about engineering is that you make pretty good money getting out of school for just doing a bachelor's degree. That's only 4 years of school. You get to basically start working on projects day one. Even if you don't have any licenses yet, you get to still work on these projects. For most of us, we don't stop at those 4 years of education. We have to go through the process of getting our license. That means, depending on what state you're in, that you're going to work for an additional 4 years as being more of an engineering training, and then after you finish all your exams, then you'll be an official engineer and you'll be able to stamp plans and legally take credit for stuff. So that usually takes the form of 2 tests. If you're doing structural, that could be 3 tests, but you'll have an EIT test, the engineering training test, and you'll have the PE test, the professional engineering test. And you have to complete both of those in order to be fully licensed. You don't qualify to get your PE license until 4 or 5 years after actually working, depending on what state you're in. I live in a state where there aren't really a lot of intense natural disasters, thank goodness, but if you're in a place like California, you also do have to take tests about seismic activity so that you understand how to do that. Next, I wish I knew who the top performers were in my fields and what they did to succeed. I have always been a life first focused person, and my job has always been the thing that enables me to live the life that I want. If you're super career driven, it's really important that you look at people who are top performers in that field and you see what they're doing to grow their career and to grow their skill sets. If you want to be a high performer, especially in the design field, I notice that those people are always working extra hours. They're always the ones being finishers on projects. They're always doing extra things to be involved. If there's charity events, if there's networking events, or if there's business development things, those people will always be going to those events. And they're making sure that they get licensed in things like the EIT, the PE and project management licenses so that they show the firm that they're growing and they're really emotionally invested in the process. The next thing I would say before starting any career is make sure that you know how to set boundaries. If you're just starting working, you're really career driven, setting boundaries can be really hard. If you don't learn how to set boundaries early on, your work life can easily swamp into the rest of your life. I personally work anywhere between 32 and 50 hours a week, depending on what we have to do that week. I only have worked over 40 hours, maybe 1 or 2 times in the past year, and that's a choice. I could easily have worked more. Firms will give you as much work as you can handle. If you keep taking on more than you can handle, you're in a recipe for burnout, and you don't want to overpromise things that you can't deliver on. You don't want to take on so much that you burn out, then your whole personal life will suffer and you won't have the capacity to actually take care of yourself, and then your work will suffer as well. Again, I'm always someone who prioritizes my well-being and my health over the job itself, and I think that helps you to do a better job at work. If you're well rested, if you're happy, if your relationships are going well, it helps you to show up and put more effort and energy into the job that you're paid to do. It's not a waste of time to get a good night's sleep, and it's not a waste of time to take a weekend to have fun with your friends. You'll be able to give more to your job and grow faster if you're enjoying the process. The final thing I want to talk to you about is money. When you're starting in school, you're not really making anything. The first time you get a real salary, it can feel like a lot of money. I remember feeling a little lost, so I wish that I had had a little better background on personal finance and managing money. I was able to find that eventually through my own research, but I definitely wish I knew more about that. I can do a whole personal finance video if you want, but the 2 things that helped me the most was reading Ramit Sethi and Dave Ramsey's financial books. Definitely check those out if you want to learn more about personal finance. I won't get into it today because it's already becoming a long video. I wish I had taken some time to get more comfortable with personal finances and managing money. I also wish I understood more about the salary structure in different firms of engineering and different types of engineering. I always get a giggle because one of the reasons I chose WPI was because they had one of the highest salary payouts for new graduates. I know it's kind of like a weird way to choose a school, but hey, we all want to have a stable living. Just going to that school, having graduated, I was probably going to get a good paying job. The degree I chose also had an impact on how much I earned. Depending on what type of engineering you choose, whether it's aerospace, civil, chemical engineering, biomedical, those all affect your salary payouts later in life. It's just something to think about. How much am I going to get paid for this degree that I'm taking? Especially if you're going to have student loans, you really need to keep in mind your income because you want to make sure you can pay back the student loans that you're taking out. And you want to make sure that this time that you're investing into your career is actually worth the time and money spending doing it. You're never going to become super wealthy being an engineer. I always think of engineering as a good stable job because you'll be able to get a nice salary coming out of school that'll be fairly consistent over the course of your life. And unless you're doing larger management roles, you're not going to make a ton extra. I know that people who have started their own firms have made a lot more money, but if you're just working for a big firm, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's more of a stable job for life scheme. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully this video helped you guys and gave you some good information to help guide you in the decision of making a career. It's a really big choice, and I know it's hard. Just have faith that you'll figure it out. Have fun, guys, and remember that STEM is sexy.